Welcome to the Mom and podcast. We're your hosts, Suzanne Kearns
and Missy Stevens. We want to help you through everything that happens in the ellipses, from your professional life to your emotional health.
You're a mom and so much more. Let's figure out what comes next together. Welcome to the Mom and podcast. I'm Suzanne Kearns, mom and writer, LGBTQ and sex ed advocate, and this week, COVID patient.
Oh.
I've got the brand new lollipop to prove it.
Just taken COVID test to prove it.
Fresh test.
And I'm Missy Stevens, mom and writer, foster child advocate, and this week, college championship mourner / recoverer.
Aww.
And I'm just holiday vacation madness recoverer, getting my life straight.
Yes, this is the week for it. And we do not have a guest this week just because COVID and life and holidays. And we just thought it would be a nice little kickoff, especially because one of our future guests who's going to be coming on, Laura Vanderkamp, is doing a really cool thing this week, which is like a scheduling, what is it? It's like a calendar cleanse, a scheduling intervention.
And like a time tracking.
Tracking, that's what it is.
It is an intervention in your time. And we've done a little bit of it ourselves. Of course, you started and then got COVID.
Yes.
And I started and then traveled.
I know. So it's not the most accurate tracking, but I'm really glad I did start it early because her kickoff didn't start till the 9th. But I was like, I really need the help. So I started on the 1st. And I think in listening to her, what's the book I'm listening to right now? I am currently listening to Off the Clock. Feel less busy while getting more done. So I've been listening to that for inspiration. And it sounds like from this book that she does the 30-minute chunks, but she also had a calendar download option. And we will put the link in the show notes for y'all to go and sign up. We can read a couple of the things you've missed already Monday through Wednesday of her little alerts. But I mean, she has time tracking sort of thing. You can find all kinds of great information on her website. Yeah. But you can also, when you sign up for it, you get to download these handy forms instead of you having to be an Excel genius and do it. And I chose the option for 15 minutes because I feel like my time is that fragmented. That I need to get a handle on it because I just splinters, the time confetti kind of thing. So
sure.
So are you doing the 15 or the 30 minutes?
I took yours that you started with and then sort of made it my own, but I'm doing the 15 minutes right now. And I think I will move to half an hour.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed that the 15 minutes stresses me out a little bit. Like I have to account for every 15 minutes, which I can, but I don't know. Half an hour seems to be a bit more workable for me as I'm going along. But also I haven't had, like I said, a really normal week. Like we started doing this practice of prep work in a post-holiday. It was right after the New Year. The kids were going back to school and I was prepping and then I traveled Saturday, Sunday for swim, and then Monday, Tuesday to go to California. And so those weren't normal days. So the tracking is not even that valuable because like that's not a normal day. So I don't know. I'm probably going to stick with that 15 minutes for another couple normal days and then consider going to half hour.
Yeah, the goal I think would be half hour because if you are doing deeper work and actually not splintering all your time into a million little pieces, then you should be doing things a half hour at a time in theory. But the fact that I found the 15-minute, I probably could have done 5-minute and I could have filled it in. So that was eye-opening to me just to know that I am allowing myself to ping that much with my time that I did need and could make easy use of the 15 minutes for those few days before I got COVID. And then my calendar is now just watching Bad Sisters.
Bad Sisters is so good.
Oh my God. I seriously paused the finale to come up and record. So I'm dying. This mini episode isn't just mini because it's just the two of us. It's because I need to be
the shortest episode ever. You got TV to watch.
Yeah. And here's your update. Bye. And that's it. But no, I think Oh my God. How long have we been wanting to talk to Laura? I'm so excited to have her on.
Almost since we started. I mean, we've talked about having her on since we started. So I'm so glad it's happening. And I really, just those 2 days were so eye-opening. stuff I knew inside really, but to see it on paper is really convicting. And I am also ping ponging everywhere. I am the model of if you give a mouse a cookie. I will walk around the house and be on my way to something and something will distract me and I'll
Yep.
do that thing. I mean, just on my way in here, I started a load of laundry. I could have waited until we were done.
I
But I'm like,
started a COVID test just because you were running a couple minutes late.
yeah. And I was running a couple of minutes late because I started a dang load of laundry. Like I didn't need to do that. So it really, we didn't talk about this beforehand. So I'm springing it on you. But I was having trouble coming up with what my word for the year would be. Even though I'd
Oh.
done some vision boarding and I'd really thought a lot about how I wanted the year to look, I hadn't come up with a word. And I know it's not a requirement to have a word for the year, but I like it. I like words. I like having a word for the year. And intentional is my word.
Was that my word last year?
Oh my God, did I just steal your word from last year?
Well, you know what? Because I was going to use it again.
Okay. Well, it's okay. It's okay. Apparently, we only like words enough to come up with like 2.
Oh no, I got a COVID germ. 1 second.
Oh no.
Oh my God, that's good. Okay.
But I want to be intentional. Oh my God, I think it is yours. I'm having a flashback to this conversation. Have I ever had an original thought in my life? I don't know.
No, but I think it's so good.
I'm so not intentional in my life. I wander around and let life just like billow me wherever. And I want to be intentional about all the things that I'm visioning for the year.
Mm-hmm.
I want to really like when it's time to do that thing and then put it down and do the other thing.
Yes.
Like I don't have to be all those things in every day, but when I am focusing on it, I want to be focused and I don't feel like I'm ever focused.
I think that this time charting is going to help a lot of that because again, even if you don't time chart forever, it's this idea of just being aware of how the time is spent and being intentional. Well, first, before you can be intentional, you got to be in reality of what's actually
maybe my
happening.
word for the year should be aware.
Aware. Oh my God, that's exactly what I was. Missy, our brains are so scary. Okay, because first of all, you're seeing us work in real time because we did not talk about doing the word of the year, but it makes sense for talking about New Year stuff that we would talk about the word of the year. And so, and I was thinking about last year's word of the year, which is the reason I remembered it. And then I remembered that I did not do it. So I was going to reuse it again this year. But then I had this whole thought circle of like, okay, I can't be intentional until I actually know what the reality is.
So true.
And have a snapshot of what I'm being intentional about and like what do I have to work with here. And so I was like, maybe it's just being aware. And then you thought that. Oh my God, we're freaking me out.
And we both just have the same
intentional.
set of issues. It's a miracle. Once again, it's a miracle this podcast happens.
Well, I haven't hit publish yet.
Oh God.
Okay.
Yeah, if you were looking for a sign, people, that miracles exist, mom and ... is one.
We share one brain, and that's why I can't do things when you're out of town. That's why my body had to shut down with COVID because I was like, my other half of my brain's in California. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Laura's going to have her work cut out for us. But for anybody who is not aware of Laura's work, we'll put some links to some of our favorite books of hers. But then again, this time chart, I think it would be so valuable to have because we'll be publishing our episode with her in the next 2 weeks. So start doing it because it'll mean so much more to you if you have actually gone through some of this process and are kind of aware of some of her philosophical her research basically, and how eye-opening this is for so many people. It really is. And life-changing.
Come over to our Facebook group and talk about what you're doing if you're doing it. I mean, it's helpful to hear how other people are doing it and just what you've learned. I think
it'd be fun to share some.
I know. Do you have a favorite entry? I have a couple favorite entries for my tracking.
Gosh. Should we open them really quick? Will that break everything if I do that?
I'm afraid to touch mine.
Again, it was only a couple of days that I was doing it.
One of my favorites was I tend to do weird tasks when I am bombarded with a lot of tasks. My brain will just pick one strange thing, just be like, just go do that thing. And it's usually not something I need to do. So last week I found myself cleaning, as in like washing my hairbrushes. And so on my time tracker, it says clean hairbrushes, in parentheses says, why? Because I don't know why I did it. But I had to put it on the time tracker, and that was really brought me some awareness.
Oh, I know one other thing I want to talk to Laura about, like, because to me, my data brain thinks that I should have like really set categories. So at the very bottom, I can easily tally up like number of hours in each or whatever. But I have not been doing that. Like I had, well, one thing I really learned, this is probably because I was soon be diagnosed with COVID, is I was finding myself setting my alarm and then I was snoozing for like 45 minutes. So I want to give myself a little bit of grace that probably will not be my normal pattern. But then following that 45 minutes of snoozing was a half hour of scroll hole, which is what I have fondly named, just kind of looking at my phone. I have a category called wake up track, which is just kind of like get up, take my medicine, or so just kind of that little wake up routine.
I spent a lot of time like naming my categories and putting.
I did do that. I think that's. I think that's an upfront cost as far as like I think that's like heavy in the upfront.
Day one was like spent time figuring out how to track and what the spreadsheet was going to look like, and
and I think that's legitimate. I think people can do that. And then, I have a lot of college. I have a separate scroll hole category for college stuff, which is hopefully coming. Well, it's never going to come to an end, let's be honest. But Zoe
should be getting to a lull.
Yeah, Zoe has officially done all but one of her, and the last one that's left is just filling in a portfolio thing. So everything we have narrowed down to the top 10 places where she will be going to school. Which is kind of a weird feeling.
Yeah.
It's like knowing that one of these will be the place where she goes. So.
After all this time of what ifs, like we're still in the very much what if. Like, what if you look here? And have you thought about this? And
yes. So it's nerve wracking too, because I keep on, everybody's deadlines are right now. I think the latest ones will be like January 15th. And what happens if on January 18th you discover like this really cool school that you'd never heard of before? So
then it wasn't meant for you. You would have heard about it.
I know, but I keep on just having this in the back of my head.
Transferring is a thing. I wouldn't want her to do that. I wouldn't want my kids to do that if they didn't have to, but that is a thing.
Yes, I know. So well, hopefully then that means that college scroll hole will be going away. Oh, and then I have officially start tracking. That took a half hour just to like save my document. I started doing the vision board thing like you did based on Amalavita, but then you combined it with Canva and used their little setups, which was really super cute. So I decided I wanted to do that.
Has so much fun stuff.
And then instead of doing that, I placed an Amazon Fresh order. And then I have a category called college useful. That's when I actually am like helping to edit an essay or something like that. A lot of podcast stuff. Oh God, that's the last thing I did before I collapsed into my COVID hole, was edited last week's episode.
I have a lot of our little text group.
Yes.
Got a color.
Yes, they have their own category. Which
one of my entries is like I was texting with y'all and then playing with TikTok filters.
Yes.
And had a complete panic about did I have a lazy eye I didn't know about, which I made y'all all look because the filter.
You need to post some of those.
I'm gonna have to get them off of our chat actually, because I think I deleted them.
You know who you look like, and one of them is Princess Fiona from
Shrek.
Shrek. When she's good. When she's
an ogre.
No, I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. There's one of them that looks like Princess Fiona.
That just made me snort. But I'm sure I had a lazy eye. So like on the entry is called Mark to come look at eye. I think I made him come from the other room and be like, that girl's hiding, didn't know it. So don't play with filters if you are prone to worrying about weird shit that doesn't matter.
But then, okay, so here's another thing I wanted to ask you about. And I think maybe Laura does this based on the stuff I've read of hers or listened to her read to me. It's kind of fun to have as like a little diary.
Yes.
So when I have read, I put like, my friend gave me this book. I'm so bummed. This is someone who I want to bring on the show. The author of this new book called Screaming on the Inside. And my friend Allison, since she's a literary agent, had an advanced copy of this.
Yeah, and you were going to get to go see her, right?
Yes, it just happened to be. She gave me the book like 2 nights before, and then I was in Book People with Zoe just kind of randomly because we were picking something up at REI and we popped in there as one does at Book People. You just get sucked into its gravitational force. And there was a big thing for like her author event. And I was like, well, this is a sign from the world. I was just trying to figure out a way to, to talk her into coming on the podcast and reading her awesome book. But then, yeah, that was the night I officially tested positive. So, but that will not be the last you hear that book. But I think it's kind of cool to be like, okay, I was reading this book because I always forget books that I read, blah, blah, blah. So are you doing that too? Are you using it kind of like a little diary?
Especially with what I read and watch, or like who I talk to. Like, it's not just phone time. Like, who was I on the phone with? And I find it kind of interesting. And granted, I only did it really well for a few days and then it's been real spotty, but it's interesting to look back. And I think if you do it well over time, you do have a little diary and you can see who or what you're spending time on in a really more micro sense. Like, what kind of thing am I reading and what kind of thing am I listening to?
I think so too. So I do think I need to get out of my data head and, have this be an easily populated tabulation of hours for each category. And of course, it just depends what you want to get out of it too. Some people, maybe that's exactly what they want. They want to know how many hours they're sleeping, how many hours they're doing such and such. And that could be a good purpose for them. But I want to double purpose it and make it be, because it is kind of like I have a half hour of Wheel of Fortune bloopers where my kids and I sat around, and I probably exposed them to COVID, and we watched Wheel of Fortune bloopers after we watched our regular evening episodes of Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. So I was like, well, that's kind of fun to be able to look back at that. So anyway, I had
to admit to watching like an hour of raccoon videos last week.
Did you put that in there?
And it
you
hurt.
are on a raccoon kick.
I'm telling you, the raccoon came to me. It came to me in that video, and I just could not stop watching it. And then the raccoons just keep coming. We shared this. I shared it in a text group that Suzanne and I are in. And one of our friends was like, no. Raccoons are gross. They're dirty. They have rabies. They're mean. I'm like, not these raccoons.
These are the sweetest.
They're the sweetest raccoons, the kindest raccoons. And so then every time I open up any social media, there's a raccoon video because I've said it and the robots have heard it. And so I just think a pet raccoon might be in my future, because a video that popped up recently was how to have a pet raccoon in the United States.
I don't think they use a litter box.
They do.
No.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, they're very good little babies. What else did I see?
What are your dogs gonna think?
Oh yeah, I can't have a raccoon. This is kind of in my my retirement or my next phase, where I'm gonna have not a farm, but assorted animals that I can't have now.
You know who you need to talk to is our former guest, Abby.
Yeah. Yes.
She does have a farm. In fact, the last thing I saw on my scroll hole was a picture of her, I think maybe hugging a cow, like in her lap, like lap dogging a cow.
Yes. Yes. I want a cow that sits in my lap.
Which makes me think she may have acquired a new pet. I didn't dive in.
I want a bird really badly. There's some things I would like to have that everyone in my family is like, no. So I'm going to wear Mark down a little bit more, and we're going to have a better space. Like I can't have chickens where I am right now, really. I'm going to have a better space, and I'm going to have some things. And I think one might be a raccoon.
This for you. And you know what?
I love this for you. It might just be me. I might wear Mark down to the point that he leaves. I don't know.
No. Mark will get into it.
He does not want all these creatures.
No, Mark's going to get into it, because I feel like you have mentioned before that since he needs more space for tools and to be able to do all kinds of cool stuff, and you talked about maybe even doing some type of maker space, whatever, that's the kind of space that would have room for a raccoon and a bird. That maybe a raccoon that eats a bird. I don't know what a raccoons eat. You might want to space these out.
They like cat food.
Well,
they apparently don't like pasta. I've watched this lady tried to feed this raccoon lasagna, spaghetti, and I don't even know if it's the same raccoon. She has several that come to her window, and they touch pasta and they're like, I don't want it.
That's where they draw the line.
Yeah, but they'll eat pretty much anything else. They like marshmallows. cat food.
Who doesn't like
Cheetos are a big
marshmallows?
hit. Like junk is a
Oh,
big hit.
you're kind of making me hungry.
I
You know
know,
what
right?
doesn't go away with COVID is my appetite. And my friend Allison, who gave me the book, also brought by a giant. I thought it was because she's like, "Oh, I left you some coffee cake outside to feel better," and I thought it was gonna be like this little plate of coffee cake.
Yeah.
It is a gallon-size bag stuffed full of coffee cake. Like she just, I don't know, she must have made a
Oh,
big helping, and
have you
so
eaten all of it? I love coffee
it's
cake.
so tempting to. It's really yummy. I've been kind of spacing it out because that is another one of my awareness slash intentional. Get back to
Hmm.
the word of the year that we're both going to
Yeah.
share
We're going to be aware of our intent.
is being more intentional and aware of why I am eating. It's been like a big, I don't know, I want to call it numbing because I'm not like, I think it's just unintentional. But
Hmm.
I've heard someone use the phrase using eating to numb.
Yeah.
And I think it's more just to zone out, not
Yeah.
because I don't feel like I'm trying to necessarily numb anything, but I guess zoning out
Right.
kind of is the same thing. So I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
being picky about which word I use for it. But just I'm bored or I'm looking for an excuse not to do a particular thing. So I'll just
Hmm.
wander into the kitchen, grab a snack or
Grab a
whatever.
little snack.
So
Uh-huh.
trying to be
Yeah.
more aware about that so that I can
Hmm.
be intentional about not doing that.
Yes.
It's a 1-2 punch.
It is. Because
Yes.
if you're, it is hard to be intentional about what you're eating if you're not even aware of the fact that you're just grazing
Yes.
and
Which comes
doing.
back to the time tracker thing, which I have to, especially if it's a half hour block, I could easily just have a half hour or block of saying, "Oh, I'm editing the podcast for a half hour," and sometime in there, it just took a minute. I booped in and got
Hmm.
20 slices of coffee cake. But in my 15-minute chunks, just because I'm kind of slow about what I do, I that does become a thing. That
Yeah.
becomes a, oh, nope, I got up from doing something to go do something else. And it makes me
Yeah.
more aware of, who is it? Is it Anne Lamott? I think she always makes me laugh. The Bird by Bird book, that's her,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Um, she talks about whenever she sits down to write is like, oh, the kitchen could use a good mopping. And when's the last time I cleaned out the
For sure.
crisper? But my favorite is she's like, and do I need adult orthodontia? That seems like a really good time to research adult orthodontia. And I think about that all the time
Yeah.
whenever I'm like, oh, just before I do this, why don't I go boop, boop,
Hmm.
boop? And so yes,
Hmm.
the 15-minute blocks I think are going to be necessary for a while. And I am
Yeah.
curious to ask Laura if that's where she recommends starting
Yeah.
for people.
The self distraction is like a self soothe. I want to find a name for it because I do really relate to that bit that Anne Lamott, where she always talks about finding an Louise Penny, who I love to talk about, who writes the Three Pines books. She talks about it as well. I think it's a very common creative thing that you have to get your distractions out of the way. But like, I do feel like it is some sort of coping mechanism is wrong. Like it's an avoidance tactic, maybe.
Yes.
Like, so maybe I should do all of these things, or I'm waiting for some magic to strike. And I think maybe if I Google these 20 things or go make my bed, or I've cleaned a coffee pot before when I like sit down to write and I'm like, I should have a cup of coffee. I'll clean the pot of coffee first. Then I will, just
Okay, now speaking of
what is
magic,
that?
who's the big magic lady? Liz Gilbert?
Uh-huh.
Because I think it's her. I'm sorry if I'm attributing this to the wrong author.
We'll look and find out.
Yes. I believe she said that the more that happens, the closer you're getting to the thing you're supposed to be doing. Like there's some weird part of your brain that like doesn't want you to do that, or this, I don't know, your bad part, your a
Yeah.
mean gritty
Your inner
lady,
critic.
and you
Yeah.
can tell that you're getting to something good and just starts firing on all cylinders to be like, no,
Ooh.
don't do that, don't do that.
Mhm.
If you do
Yeah.
that, then I can't
Exactly.
talk you into thinking you're a bad
Right.
person anymore, or
When's the last time
whatever.
you've conditioned your leather? Like, that's what happens. And I'm like, oh yeah, yes. And then I should Google the best way to take care of that. And it's so crazy what happens to you. So,
Yes.
um,
And I got to
yeah.
tell you, and I've mentioned this to you, and I've mentioned this to our text thread. Like I've been really fussy like the past couple days, and I
Well, you
do.
haven't felt well.
Well, I don't even think it's that. I think I've had too much time
Oh,
without
uh-huh.
all those little, again, are they coping mechanisms? I don't know.
Right.
When you can't go around and putter and do the things that are usually the things you do to
You're
distract
stuck with just
yourself,
you.
when you're just stuck, well, and your husband, as the case may be, but
Yeah.
he's back to his office. But no, and part of it, yes, I've been watching a lot of Netflix, but even that, there's just been a lot of time sitting around and laying
Mhm.
there, and you start thinking about a lot of stuff, and
Mhm.
without being able to distract yourself from it, you're like, oh. And part of it is I finally did realize that now that Zoe has all these college things in, I'm like, well, that clock's ticking now. And
Yeah.
part of me was like,
Yeah.
because I was thinking, oh my God, I can't wait till the end of March, because that's when she gets all her answers about and starting to be able to make those choices. And I'm like, why the hell would I rush March?
Right.
Because then March is then,
March turns into May real fast.
yes, and
Turns
then
into
that turns
time to
into
pack the car.
August. So now I'm aware
Mhm.
that that is what I was doing, and want to be more intentional of like, okay, so now I've realized that clock is ticking. What do you do about that? And how do you get more intentional about the time you spend together?
Right.
And how do you
Yeah.
want to really spend those 15-minute blocks together?
And how are
Or,
you going to be intentional about preparing yourself for when move-in day comes?
mm-hmm.
That you've done the work, even though you never know how you're really going to respond, and you know it's going to be sad and painful in a lot of ways and exciting and wonderful in a lot of other ways. But like have to do some of the work to give yourself some
Yes.
framework to handle that
But then
and be
that's a lot of
intentional
what we
about it.
are doing here, as
Mhm.
far as making sure that you got your own stuff to do. So it's
Yeah.
not just 100%. That's why I do. I mean, I'm glad I'm going to be backing off a little bit off the college stuff and focusing more on my own
Yeah.
future planning.
Yeah.
But then again, there's also another boy in the picture. I still have my
Yeah.
son.
Yeah. She's not your only child.
When she goes to
But
college,
then you get to focus all your energy on him.
oh my
That's what I always
God.
tell my youngest.
Don't tell him that. He'll run for the hills.
I'm like, you know how your brother had 3 years of life with it was just us and him?
Yeah.
But he was young and didn't appreciate it, and you're going to be old, and you're gonna know that it's just the 3 of us for 3 years. He's like, "Oh my god."
No, that is very scary. Oh, and that has made me aware of something else, because I almost lost my mind before Christmas, because the boy who would have had straight A's and should have like a 98% in math
Mm,
has like a B, because he didn't turn a couple of things in that were reminded and
mhm, of course.
re-reminded.
Mhm.
And me, I was assured that this had been done, and then it was like, oh, oops, so you mean that went? And so that, again, it's just, the kid's got enough on his mind. He's dealing with all his, I've got an update on the
Yes,
Schroth therapy and stuff. But and he's a teenage boy. He's got some
and
stuff
he's a
going on.
great kid.
And
He
he's
is a
a
great
great
kid.
kid. And that's what, as I was about to lose my mind, we were seriously like, we were at my brother's house. We were all making holiday cookies. I'm looking at this thing on the website, and I'm just like, you know what? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But
Yeah, and really, at his age, it really doesn't matter.
here's what,
Like,
this is
he's got
automatically where my
some
brain
time to
goes.
figure it out.
Like any little thing like that, I'm like, okay, well, now he's got to be there. And does that mean then if he wants to apply to one of these fancy schmancy high schools that we have here in Austin, is that going to impact that? And then if he doesn't get into one of those, is it going to impact something down the road? And so it's like nothing can just be the one thing that
Yeah.
happened. It has to be like 20 different elevated
Mhm.
steps of how it's going to impact his future, which I just need to I need to stop.
Right, because
I
it
need to,
can just be that B.
it can just be a
Be the
bee.
B. Mhm.
And so I'm trying to be more aware about
Uh-huh,
that,
uh-huh.
and knowing that that is my issue. I mean, granted, we got to work on some, you know, time management, getting some stuff turned in, or just being more aware of it.
Yeah. Now's the
So
time for him to learn that. Like, middle
yeah,
school is the time to like, you let him run that show. He
yes,
dropped the ball. So now you can talk about it, and it is just the B, but what are you gonna do next time?
yeah. That
And
was the painful thing, because I was trying to be the mom that was not intervening. Because it
yeah.
would have been
Oh, yeah.
so easy to like call that teacher and be like, what's he missing? Okay. Can you send it?
Yeah,
I'll
don't do
have
it.
him do it. But I
Yeah.
put him in charge of it. And dang it, it didn't get done.
Yeah.
But he's a 13-year-old boy. I don't know that he's learned a lesson for it because I don't think that he cares.
Yeah, he may not care yet, but he will. Not. Somewhere it's back in there. Yes. It's back in there. And I like my oldest now, he does not want my intervention. Sometimes to his detriment. Every once in a while I have to be like, I am the parent and I know things you don't know. So I'm going to intervene here, whether you like it or not. But the positive side of that is he does take care of his stuff now. Yes. Partly because he doesn't want me in it, but because he had to learn a lesson earlier where he was like, I didn't take care of my stuff. And it could have been different and it could have been easier if I had taken care of my stuff. And so, it happens. It's good to learn those lessons, and it's good to learn them in the like really no risk zone of middle school.
Yes. So yes, I don't even know. How did I get to that?
I don't know.
Just talking about how many kids I have, but anyway, it comes back to the word of the, okay. Since you're doing intentional, I'm going to do my word of the year is going to be aware, because it sounds like that needs to be more and more as we're kind of talking through this. That seems to be something that comes up. I need to be aware of my own stuff before I take it out to the world. And you
can help me be aware and I'll help you be intentional.
Okay. We'll share. We'll trade off depending on the day of the week. Can I borrow
the podcast has 2 words of the year, and they are aware and intentional.
Yes. And time tracking. Laura, fix us. Laura, fix us. What was the other thing I was gonna does this have to do with anything? Oh, I am being aware and intentional about, so I shared with y'all, with my son's permission, that he was diagnosed, when was that? August, September, with scoliosis. And he has been a champ. I talk about like letting things go. I mean, this kid has been, the one thing he has not forgotten to do is his Schroth physical therapy, which he does almost every day. And he's being so good about wearing his brace. But we kind of got lucky here. He had a checkup the middle of December where he had originally had almost a 40-degree curve, which is like borderline surgery as far as like if it was going to continue getting worse. And it is down to 24 degrees.
That's so amazing.
I know. Where 20 is like, they don't even consider it really scoliosis anymore. It's so this does not mean that other kids who are just as good as he has with physical therapy. It's kind of a luck of a draw, whether
everybody is different.
Yeah. Whether your scoliosis is going to respond no matter how perfectly you do all the things. Right. Some kids' angles just keep going up. It happened to be that his responded to it really well. And who knows, he's still, even though he is 5'11" now and 13, he's barely started his growth spurt according to his bone measurements. And so who knows, with growth spurts, the angles can grow again. And we've tried to reassure him that if the next one, the curve does go up, it doesn't mean that you're not doing it as well, or it doesn't mean that anything you did is bad. So as much as I want to give him all the credit in the world, I hate assigning credit to it just because whatever, but
you don't want to assign value where like his value as a person is attached to what he's doing.
Yes, but then also if it doesn't, you do want to be grateful that he's not doing it. Yes, it's just,
you want to be grateful for where he is.
But I want to celebrate the heck out of it, and I do. I mean, if he hadn't been doing anything, it would have gotten worse. So it was lucky that it did get better. But the fact that he put the time and the effort into it is just amazing. But it also made me be like, wow, human body can really respond to someone who actually puts some effort in. Isn't that weird? Maybe if instead of just sitting there and clicking the timer while he's doing his 60-second planks, you
could plank as well.
I should do it.
God, I hate planking. I really hate planking.
You know what? And I got to tell you, 13-year-old boys aren't big fans of it either, but he frickin' does it. And I mean, I can tell. I mean, we were trying to be chill about the improvement, and his doctor was super chill about the improvement. So we were like, oh, maybe it's not that big of a deal. But then like 3 weeks later, we went and saw his physical therapist for the first time after that meeting. And her mind was just blown. She's like, no, do you understand what you have done? She's like, I've never seen it, to the point where she's like questioning the accuracy of the first x-ray. She's like, this does not happen. You need to be so proud of yourself for
He's really put in the work.
And she was following behind him as he was doing some of his exercise. She's like, look at those back muscles. Look what you're doing. And she's usually just kind of like even keel, whatever. But she was just like, you're doing the work. And it's true. I mean, you can see he can't see it. So we even videoed it for him. We're like, you just see your freaking back. Like, look at your back muscles. So yes, it's made me really see, like literally in front of my face, what the human body is capable of doing when you actually put in the work.
That's a good message for someone whose human body needs some effort put into it. Oh,
yes. And I mean, he's not running marathons. He's not counting calories. He's not, it's not for a weight loss. It's not whatever. It's just being strong. It's being strong and using your body. I mean, we're not picking berries and chasing bears around or whatever. Well, I'm chasing the dog bear around, but the human body is not meant to sit around and play video games for hours a day. And the fact that he's doing these physical things and really being able to see the difference for himself. So I'm like, okay, I need to be aware of that and then intentional about participating. And sometimes I do it with him, but then sometimes I'm like, it's a lot easier to sit here in this beanbag and press the buttons and time you. So I just need to be like, you know what? If a 13-year-old boy can take care of himself, then this 50-year-old woman needs to get my stuff together.
Right.
So so that was a big learning, which has, again, for the time tracking, being aware there is time in the day. He spends probably 15 minutes a day doing it. It's not huge, but I have seen the incremental benefits, and it's been 3 months. It's not like it took him years. So that has been very, very inspiring me in many ways. So yes, that has been my inspiration for the word and the time tracking and all the things.
I love that. I love it. So, okay, I think we're good. Are we doing a look, listen, learn?
Oh my God, I have so many things I've been looking at.
You have looked at a lot of things.
I need to go finish my finale of Bad Sisters. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I watched the second season of Emily in Paris. Remember, that was the one I listened to when I was painting.
Oh yeah, we were painting. So I've never watched it. Do I watch
it? No. I don't recommend.
When did I just read that it's like, I can't remember what that article compared it to. Dang it.
Just eating marshmallows out of a bag.
It's not meant to be this thought-provoking show where you're just like glued. It's meant to be like brain numbing.
Well, it's Darren Star. I mean, it's Melrose.
Oh, it is Darren Star. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? That was because I did not see that as I was painting. I never really put that together. And as I was watching it with my actual face, I was like, oh, Darren Star, there you are. Okay. Mm-hmm. That makes so much sense. I'm like, oh, that could be Heather Locklear. Oh, that could be this. That could be this.
It just happens to be in Paris.
Yeah, it's just, and that's why I do enjoy it, and that's why I still watch it. And it let me practice a little my French. They do a considerable amount of the show in French, which made it a little hard when I was painting. I was like, I know most of this, but I'm kind of missing it. But it was kind of fun for practicing a little bit of French.
Yeah.
And yeah, I texted my friend Alice and I was like, tell me something else to watch. Even I can't do this anymore. Oh, shoot. That was another one that I watched because one of her authors has the book Tell Me Lies.
Oh,
So I watched all of that too because
I've never watched that either.
Yes, so I watched that, and that was actually really especially after Emily in Paris. I was like, oh, a little bit more meat on the bones as far as just it was really still kind of that. Oh my God, so much sex, so much sex. Oh my goodness. So yeah.
Speaking of sex, have you watched The Sex Lives of College Girls?
I was scared too.
So a friend of mine told me it's actually delightful and fun. And so I haven't watched it yet. I just wondered if you had seen it during your convalescence, but I might try that next. She said it's not like Emily in Paris, whatever. It's a little more than that, but that it's fun. It's Mindy Kaling.
Well, that's why I thought that would be a safe one. But then I was like, my daughter's going to college. I don't want to have to think about this. But then, so I made the mental choice.
The sex life of this college girl was not TV material.
No. Well, and then, so I was watching Tell Me Lies instead because I was like, oh, well, these are like people in their 20s. I don't have to think about my daughter in college. But then it all takes place in college, and it's so naughty. It's so naughty. Allison's like, are you covering Daisy's eyes? Luckily,
Would you watch it with Chris, or should I just watch it by myself?
No, I didn't bother watching it with him. I don't want to gender television, but as far as if you're like, oh, is it a girl show or whatever, at least as far as what I know his interests lie and how far on the spectrum of things that are kind of quote unquote girly, it was, I was like, and plus he was already in his office by then. But it is nice that I've got my wireless headphones set up to the television so that so no one could hear me, but then, it wasn't cranked so that the kids could hear it in the other room. But every once in a while I'd be like, can anybody hear through my headphones? Am I sure they're on? This is so naughty.
Of that. What was I watching on the plane?
Oh my gosh, that's the worst when something naughty comes on the plane.
It was, I Love That for You. Have you seen that?
No.
It's Molly Shannon and Vanessa Bayer.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
I only watched like 2.5 episodes because, of course, I watched it on a plane. I didn't start it till pretty far into our journey, but I don't even remember what scene it was. It was just kind of loud and obnoxious, and I thought, oh my God, I hope nobody can hear all of this. And I realized, of course, they can't. I have it in my headphones, but yeah, it's cute. It's kind of cute. She's a unqualified Vanessa Bayer plays somebody who gets a job as a home shopping network host, and then Molly Shannon is like the home shopping network host OG.
Yeah.
And
oh my gosh, that sounds so cute. Okay, well, I'll have to.
Yeah, it's worth checking out, I think. And I also was watching. I was going to look and see which host told us, or which guest rather told us about this, but I can't remember. But it's Ghosts, not the U.S. version, but the BBC version of Ghosts, where a young couple inherits a house and the house is haunted, but it's a comedy.
Okay.
And the ghosts are really funny. And I had watched a couple episodes of the US version, and it's fine. It's just I didn't feel compelled to watch more. But the BBC ghosts, I really like the young couple. I think they're just funny, and the ghosts are a little funny. And of course, they all have British accents, and that helps all television shows, I think, for some reason.
That's why I'm liking the Bad Sisters too.
Yeah. Oh gosh, those Irish sisters are the best. But yeah, Ghost, if the BBC version, I don't know, I'll have to find it here because I started that on the plane on the way home. For some reason, the I Love That for You was not coming up on the way home. I don't know,
but it had
an option.
They changed it on the flight back.
I have no idea.
But they had a naughty scene that you were trying to hide.
I don't remember what it was that I was like,
I hope no one knows I'm watching this.
You hear this? It didn't. I don't remember it being visual. I remember it being auditory, but I don't know what it was.
Well, every time when I was watching the Tell Me Lies, which isn't saying much because, like I said, there is a lot of sex, but every time it was a particularly raunchy scene, Chris would come in, walk through the room, and he's like, seriously, what are you doing? I was like, I'm supporting Allison and her author.
Yeah. Same with I think it's Sex Education. We've talked about that on the show before.
That's so
yeah. And you never know. Like, I can't watch that kind of stuff when the kids are home because they are very good at walking in at just the wrong time, and I'm very bad at stopping and turning it off.
Oh yeah, when you pause it, it's always right in the worst spot.
So I'm like, pause, turn off the screen. Like,
oh my God. I think is that all I've watched? Oh, Fleischman's in Trouble. That's the one Chris and I are watching together.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And does he like it? I've heard it's great.
Yes.
Okay.
It's really, I don't know if he's into it as much as I am because I keep making him like not watch football when I want to watch it. But no, he's into it, just not because I'm like, oh, I had to turn off your game the other night, Missy. Tell us about your game. It got to the point where I don't
blame you for turning it off.
It made me sad for them. Tell us about your game.
Bad. So for anyone who doesn't listen regularly or doesn't know, but I went to TCU. I'm a Horned Frog. I am a loyal Horned Frog follower. I'm not a big football follower, but I am a Horned Frog sports follower. And my friends are like diehard sports nuts followers. They're very good at it. We have gone to games for years together, and I love it. And we have been very patient through some bad years. I mean, when I was in school, there was bad, but I went to every game and just watched them get their butts handed to them. So we've been through a lot as Horned Frog fans, and then surprisingly had an amazing season this year. Yes. Like, incredible. No losses until the Big 12 championship, and then they lost to K-State, and then we all went to the Fiesta Bowl over New Year's, which was amazing. And they won. They beat Michigan, and it was a great game. It was a fun game. And on the high of that, we're like, we're going to the national championship, as in we are actually going to see these Horned Frogs play in the national championship. I bought plane tickets, like standing in the parking lot, the stadium at the Fiesta Bowl, bought plane tickets.
Oh my God.
And then we had to bid to buy our tickets to the game. It was this whole ordeal. So I flew back to LA on Monday. I left my home at 3:45 in the morning. My plane left the ground at 6 a.m. The game was at 4:30. I mean, by the time it was all said and done, I was awake like 23 plus hours before I finally closed my eyes, and then I slept a few hours. And I went back to the airport and came home. But
oh my God.
The game was awful. We do not know that our football team showed up. I'm not sure who those people were. I feel so bad for those boys.
They were playing Georgia. As Chris says, Georgia is a professional football team. Like they are.
I mean, Georgia quarterback is 25.
Okay, he told me that as I was just leaving the room to go grab something. And I was like, how's that even? And I was like, what? And I never followed up with him about that. But like, that doesn't even seem legal.
He started at a community college, and he had eligibility left. And yeah, he's 25. He's a grown ass man.
He should be.
We were short one of our first string guys, but that alone should not have been enough for how they did not play. It was really bad. It was really bad. I feel very bad for all the seniors on the team. It does not discount the fact they had an amazing season up until then. I don't know what happened to them that night. And these frogs don't leave. We stayed till the very bitter end. We had some very nice Georgia fans around us. We're very kind. After the game at the hotel, we got in an elevator with a guy from Georgia, and he said, "Good game, y'all." And we all looked at him and died laughing because we were just punchy by that. It was not a good game. Thank you, but it was not. And he started dying laughing, and he goes, "Yeah, no. I mean, I had fun, but no, that was not a good game for y'all." No, it was not. It was not. There was a lot of head patting by Georgia fans because they're more like they play on this level all the time.
Yes.
And so they were like, "Oh, you cute little school." But I'm like, those boys earned the right to be there. They just did not fulfill that once they got there. The weather in LA was horrendous. I feel really bad for California. Any of our California listeners, it's bad there.
I know.
Like
I've been seeing the pictures and
and they're still in a drought. It's not going to fix the drought, but it's just a mess. So LA was underwater. We left the game and had to wade through like knee-high water to get to our charter bus that was taking us back to our hotel.
Oh my gosh.
It was, so when I say wet, I'll post some pictures, like drown rat wet, wearing a poncho, still getting soaked. I brought home soaking wet shoes. I was so glad I had another pair of shoes in my suitcase. I mean,
okay. Now in Texas, we are no stranger to crazy rain and flooding, but you're talking like Texas level beyond.
Yeah. Yes. Ponds. It's just raining so much.
And that's downtown LA.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was just, coming out of the stadium, which is an amazing stadium, incredible. SoFi is, if you ever get the chance to see anything there, like that place is amazing, but no one thought about the fact that it might rain someday. It has a roof, but it like is a canopy that hovers. So there's open space all around the top, and like water's just blowing in. There's open space around the sides, the whole stadium. And so every surface was wet. One of my friends saw someone just fall, and like blood hit their face. Like everything was slippery and dangerous. SoFi has to figure that out, because I know it doesn't rain often there, but when it does, it's bad. And then coming out. So what
made it more slippery than another outdoor stadium? Just because they hadn't thought that mixture with the water?
Maybe the ground just wasn't the kind that should be wet. I have no idea.
Okay.
Everything was just, the handles of everything were wet because it was humid, and like you didn't feel like you were getting rained on in the stadium, but you could see the rain blowing in. And so it was just this like,
someone was getting rain on them up there. You had the good seats.
We had better seats, but we did have some friends who were up pretty high, and she said they weren't getting rained on, but they would see it, coming in over them. And so it was crazy. And I kept thinking, LA can do better than this. But also I know there's no way anyone could prepare for record-breaking rain.
Yeah.
And then like the area around the stadium, it's not all finished. It's a fairly new situation. And we had to go a long way to get to this bus that we had paid a good amount of money for. If they picked us up at the hotel like they said they would, got us where we were going, and then to get home, anybody who had paid this company, which was us Georgia fans, all these people were going looking for these buses. They It's just hard to find them. And then once finally a guy from the company comes with like this tiny American flag, and he's wearing a yellow poncho, and he's like, "Are you looking for this?" And we're all like, "Yes." And so we follow him. He's like, "Follow me." Well, he leads us right through, like,
Oh my
I mean,
God.
water. One place I swear would have been up to my chest, and we found a place where it was up to our knees to cross through.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it was an adventure. We made a lot of memories.
So I'm guessing maybe he just couldn't drive through that.
They weren't planning to get too close anyway because of
Okay.
the traffic around there. So
Okay.
I mean, he told us, like, the guy who dropped us off, he was like, "So I drive the bus sometimes. Sometimes these other guys do. We should have several buses coming to pick people up." They were supposed to run every 10 minutes. I don't think that happened. But he was like, "It could be me. It could be a couple other guys. Most of the buses are black. Some of them are white. Some of them are big like this. Some of them are small." So we were like, "Okay, so we're looking for a black bus or a white bus or a big bus or a small bus." And he explained
And maybe
where they
you
would
or maybe
be.
someone else. Okay, bye.
Right. And he was like, "We'll be here." And it didn't make a lot of sense, but they did give us a map. Like, in an envelope, we had a map and a business card. And I have a picture of my friend holding, like, it's raining so hard the map is just disintegrating.
Oh no.
So, and no one, a lot of people clearly didn't even keep track of their maps. They didn't, other people, strangers were like, "Are you looking for whatever?" We're like, "Let's just stick together." And we called the number on the business card. Nobody's answering. Our driver did not know where he was. I think they might have hired him off the street to drive that night.
Oh,
And
jeez.
he's making hotel stops. He pulls up at the first one and he's like, "Everybody for whatever." And the whole everybody on the bus is like, "No one's staying here." So he got
Oh,
mad at us, had to pull out and get to another hotel, but no one was staying there. And then he passed our hotel.
oh no.
And we thought he did it on purpose because he was going this way and our hotel was on the other side of the street. So we thought he was going to drop people, make a loop
Uh-huh.
and drop us. So he gets to the last place and the bus is, there were 8 of us in my group and then probably 5 to 7 other people going to this hotel. So a good number of people still on the bus. And he's like, "This is the last stop." And we all said, "Oh, no, it's not. You have to take us to the Westin." And he goes, "Oh, the Westin's not on the list." And we're like,
It's on
"But it
my
is."
list.
And he goes, "I don't know how to get there." And we're like, "We just passed it." So a friend of mine gets out her phone,
Oh
pulls
my
up GPS,
God.
and gives the man directions to the hotel.
How far out are
And
you by now?
not very far. Luckily, it was
Okay.
all within, like, we weren't very far from the
Okay.
stadium, and this group of hotels were all, like, kind of in the same, probably, I don't know, half a mile. Like, it wasn't far,
Picturing you like in
but it's
Sacramento or something.
right. I mean, luckily, we were all close between the airport and the stadium. Like, wasn't like a big area, but it was pouring down rain. There's ambulances, it's bad traffic. It's raining, so there's accidents. So there's ambulances and cars pulling out. And I was like, these are not the memories we expected to make. But it was
Yes.
fun, and there was no sleep, and it was great. And we did fall. I mean, we fell asleep that night. I shared a room with 3 other women, like, just laughing, just
Oh.
telling stories from the day, just laughing because it was crazy fun. And I'm glad I went. And I just wish it had been a different outcome for the team. But
Well, definitely memorable. Oh my God.
yes, so memorable. We will never forget it. And it was a great run to do.
Bad memory.
Poor
It's okay.
Frogs. I'm just going to remember the rest of the season and all the fun I had and all the, like, I mean, I was at their first game of the season. Was I their first? No, it wasn't their first, but it was close. Like Labor Day,
Yeah.
I saw them play. And that was like the first inkling of, like, hey, this team might have something,
Yeah.
and then to be at their last was a little sadder, but still.
Oh, well, there's always next year.
That's what I said. And the national championships in Houston next year. So I'm like, oh, it'll be so easy for us to get to.
Yeah,
And
just
then we all
drive on
died
over.
laughing because what are the odds we're really going to be there next year?
Well, Chris had a fun journey with his friend who they have an agreement that anytime the Washington Huskies are in any type of bowl game that they will
Yeah.
travel. And it
So
was
he got to go to San Antonio.
he went to
right?
San Antonio. I think that's probably where he brought home the little COVID
Yeah.
from. But
Yeah, a little COVID. Yeah.
but it was still it's such a fun thing for him to get to do with his friends. And it was fun that it was nearby because usually it involves
Right?
flights and all like what you had to go through.
And I'm so thankful I got home because the flights it's been because the weather, lots of things were canceled.
Oh, well, and then today,
And then today I had a couple friends flying home today and yeah, everything shut down. This is the day. I don't know whenever they'll be listening tomorrow. I mean, I think we're
yes.
recording and running tomorrow, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, as of to the day you're listening, yesterday was the day that the FAA shut everything down. And I really am curious to what happened. Like my inner conspiracy theorist is going wild.
That's so scary.
But
What's
what a
going on?
mess. I was
What's going
thankful I got
on?
out. Really thankful
People
I
just
got
need to
home.
behave and be nice.
Mhm.
or just get their computer systems upgraded, one or the other.
And I feel like Horned Frog fans deserve a lot of credit, because to go to the Fiesta Bowl, that was the week that Southwest canceled everything.
Oh my
and everything fell apart. And so I had a friend who drove from Little Rock to Dallas, from Dallas to Phoenix, back to Denver, where she lived. She was in Little Rock for Christmas.
What?
She did all that to go to the game. And we had other friends who drove. Some friends drove from Florida to Dallas, then flew from Dallas. Like, people made effort to get to that game. And though my friends, of course, are not the only ones. Like, there was a whole hashtag, Road Toads, and Horned Frogs were on the road. Like, we fought hard to get to the Fiesta Bowl, and then we all showed up again at the national championship. Like, get a little credit for the support.
A lot of credit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've paid attention. Well, unfortunately, I've paid attention to my college recently, because that's where those 4 students were murdered.
I know. I think about you every time I hear a news story about that.
It's not what you want people to know University of Idaho for, but I do not follow their sports, although my brother does very closely.
Yeah, I bet he does.
Oh my gosh. Well, good for you for going. I'm sorry it didn't have a better outcome.
Yeah. It was an adventure.
I'm glad you didn't have to go to the weird hotel that we stayed at for Mom too, with the double-decker elevators. That would have been a memory.
Another memory. That was the official hotel of our school. I guess, like, there were official travel packages.
Yeah.
Which we didn't do. That was the official hotel. And like, should I warn them all that the elevators are double-decker? And if they see an entire elevator of flight attendants disappear, it's not magic.
Do not scream at the top of your lungs.
That's my favorite story from Mom too ever, of the elevators opening, and then they opened again and the people were gone.
Oh yeah, I think we have explained this on an earlier episode, but just for anybody who did not listen to the episode, I can't remember the name of the hotel, but it's in Los Angeles.
It's the Intercontinental.
The Intercontinental, and their elevators are double decker in the sense that the floor of one is the ceiling of the other, which I guess is, I don't know, it helps them. So they can load up one, go down, and then load up the other and whatever.
Yeah.
But if you've had a few drinks and you are not aware of this,
and also sitting very near, we also probably had a bit of a contact high to go with a couple drinks.
Oh, that's true. There were some people partaking. But so we're just standing there, chat, and the elevator was really full of these. That's the other thing. It was an elevator full of just the cutest. What is the
Singapore Airlines?
Singapore Airlines. Like,
perfectly
awesome,
coiffed.
Yeah, coiffed. They all match. They've got the matching uniforms on and everything. And we're like, oh no, we'll get the next one. They close the elevator door, and like a second later they open and they're gone. And we were sure that they had all just plummeted to their death, or we had all imagined them.
Like, how do we all collectively have the same hallucination?
It's like, you just saw that dude, didn't you? Anyway, so yeah.
There happened to be an employee nearby when we all screamed, and the employee was like, is everything okay? We were like, the elevator, the people, they're gone. And she's like, they're double-decker ding-dongs. And we're like, okay.
She's like, yeah, they're 6 feet underneath you. They can hear you.
And it was something out of like a freaky, like, Twin Peaks type TV show, you know, like, because they were perfect and beautiful, and they were silent.
They were silent.
And we were like, oh, we'll catch the next one. Doors closed. Bing,
open,
no more.
Gone. Someone needs to recreate that for like a Glass
movie.
Onion or whatever that show is, or it was very freaky. I kind of got goosebumps thinking about it again. That scream was legit. Oh my goodness.
It was really funny. I think about it all the time. It made me laugh. It's my favorite memory from that conference.
What did you learn at Mom too?
The elevators are double-decker at the Intercontinental.
Oh my goodness.
You had to take the elevators all the way up to go all the way down.
Oh God, don't remind me of that. I forgot that was the most normal part of those elevators.
Right, yeah. No matter where you went, you had to go to the 80th floor or whatever it was, and then catch another elevator bank to go to the next place. So you spent a lot of time riding on elevators.
It's so bizarre. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. How is this, like a 2-hour episode?
Yeah, probably. We got to go. We have looked, listened, learned, talked about time tracking.
We may have to break.
You got to go finish Bad Sisters.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I need to.
I almost don't want to finish it. There's a season 2.
Oh, is there?
I think so, because I Googled before I could decide if I was going to get too excited about this, that there is going to be a season 2. I think. I don't
good,
know.
because I just loved
trust
it.
me.
I loved it so much.
Okay, I'm excited for myself to get to watch this.
That's Bono's daughter. Did you know that one of the sisters is Bono's daughter?
No, which one?
The young one.
Really?
Yeah.
The yoga or not yoga massage lady?
Massage.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So cool.
I would have never.
No.
Oh, that
Someone
brings
had
up
to
the
tell me that.
whole nother topic of what do they call them? The
Nepo
babies.
Yeah.
She's a Nepo, but she's a talented Nepo baby.
She's very talented. I was going to say, I feel like she's there in her own right. She's super talented.
Yeah.
She's fun to watch.
Yeah. She's one of my favorites. So
and you don't know, like her name is not something
Bono daughter.
You don't know. Yeah.
It's not like Jameson and like Fredrickson. It's Bono daughter.
Right. You don't know. The only reason I know that is someone told me, and then I had to go do a little goog of my own.
Oh, well, that's what I'm going to do after the show. Well, after the show, I'm going to go take a nap because this is the most energetic thing I've done in a week.
You did great. Yes. Go rest.
This is the phase of COVID. This is the test of COVID.
Great. I think you look great.
I was hoping this was going to be negative. I really do miss hugging my kids. I get to wave at them from a room away with a mask on.
Oh, that's hard.
I know, it sucks. If you ever think you need some time away from your kids, being forcibly it's one thing when you go on a vacation, but to have them there and want to interact, it sucks. All of our nightly Jeopardy games don't get to do anything. So I'm feeling sorry for myself, but
yes, as you should.
I'm getting
wallow time is earned.
Yes. But what was I going to say? I guess this is it.
Yeah, I guess this is it. Happy
our
New
little
Year
quickie
to all our
that
listeners.
went for 2 hours. I can't wait to hit end and see how long this is. I may have to do some generous editing.
Yes, I'm sure there's some stuff in there that can come out. But yeah, Happy New Year. Happy 2023 to everybody. And I'm looking forward to this year.
I know. Get those time trackers. Go look in the show notes so that you can download yours. Highly recommend the 15-minute to start. And then be ready for our visit with Laura Vanderkam in a few weeks. Yay. All right.
All right. Go rest.
All right. See you later.
All right. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us for the Mom and ... podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you know someone else who could benefit from the episode, please be sure and share it with them. And while we're begging, please subscribe and rate us wherever it is you listen to podcasts. You can find links to all the things we discussed today in our show notes or over at our website, momandpodcast.com, with the A-N-D spelled out. In between shows, find us over at the socials, including our private Mom and Community Facebook group. The links to that group and all of our socials can be found at momandpodcast.com. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate you more than you know. Now go out there and make your ellipses count.